Hello guys, it's Shrimp Time here and welcome in yet I hope interesting episode about shrimp keeping. Today I'm going to answer 10 questions that you asked beneath my recent videos, and I hope that this knowledge will be helpful for you. So if you are interested in shrimp keeping, if you want to learn something new, please stay tuned and subscribe to my channel. The first question is about crossbreeding boa shrimp and black fancy tiger shrimp. This is quite interesting question, but I think that we already have an answer for this question because already different breeders try to do this type of crossbreed, and the effect of this crossbreed will be very similar to boa shrimp that will have this fancy tiger pattern on the edge of its tail, on the back side of its tail. You can see this type of shrimp also on my videos, but you need to remember that the first generation, the second generation probably won't give you that result. You will have to wait for some generation to achieve that beautiful result, and this is called, I think, the python shrimp. The second question is about the water parameters in your tank. I consider that you are asking about the water parameters in my Caridina shrimp tank and what parameters should you test. For me, the most crucial two parameters in every Caridina shrimp tank is the general hardness, GH, and the carbon hardness, KH. Those two parameters, due to my experience, I must say, the most important. Afterwards, you need to check your pH and check your nitrates, nitrogen in your tank, nitrates, nitrites, and ammonia. You would ask me why I think that GH and KH are the most important water parameters. It is because those parameters, along with pH, will affect the shrimp molting. And if shrimps have a lot of problems with molting, they will die. You need to remember that the young shrimps can molt even every day if they are growing healthy. So if you will have problems with your water parameters, they will develop too hard shell and they will be unable to let this shell off. If the water will have too low pH, they will have problems because their shell will be too soft. Afterwards, we got the nitrogen in your tank, and this is due to the fact that if your nitrogen will go too high, your shrimps will suffer a lot of stress and a lot of disease. You need to remember as well that when you have a low pH, then the ammonia isn't dangerous in your tank. The more dangerous is nitrates and nitrites. So if you are considering buying some tests for your aquarium shrimp tank, for me, go for GH test and KH just to be sure that this carbon hardness isn't too high. If your carbon hardness will be at 0 level, there is high possibility that your pH will be below 7, because carbon hardness is very important to the pH levels. So you can go inexpensive by buying those two tests. The third post, because this is a post, not a question, is about using Scoby. Scoby is a culture of bacteria and yeast that are used to making the matcha tea, the fermented tea that we can drink. This is a very interesting post, and if you guys are interested, I will try to make a video how to make a Scoby and if you can feed your shrimps with this type of food. Because in my opinion, feeding shrimps with natural food that is alive even when you feed your shrimps is a very great and nice idea, and maybe we need to look under my macro lenses on the shrimps feeding on these little gels of bacteria and yeast. The fourth question is about my own product, which is very nice for me that you are interested in my EBF Dust. EBF Dust is a product that is a fermentation of bacteria and yeast, and you ask how often I put this into my tank. I must be honest that I do that almost every day, each day or each second day. This product is very good for the shrimps, and shrimps will love to eat it, so I think that you can put it every day, but you need to remember that the procedure for producing this product can be quite complicated and it takes a lot of time. So if you have a lot of tank, you can put it each second, each third day, very similar to SL Aqua Magic Powder or Benibachi B-Max Bacterias. The next question is very good question about trying to enhance the blue amongst the blue boa shrimps, and the user asks if I will put blue balls in my boa tank to get more blue among my boas. And the answer is quite simple. I will put the blue shrimps, but I won't use the blue balls. Instead of the blue balls, I will use steel blues that I will get from my boa pack, and only the females. Thanks to that, the gene of the pattern in the shrimp won't go among all other females that I use for breeding. And thanks to that, I will limit the shrimps with weaker pattern, but on the other hand, I will still enhance a little bit of blue in this pack, making sure that my shrimps won't go pale. If you would use the blue balls, you will go a lot backwards with the genetics of your pack. You can use them, of course, but you will need to remember that afterwards you will need to work on your pattern hard again. And here we got another question about water parameters in my tanks. And you need to remember that the parameters that you use will depend on the shrimps that you are breeding, even among the Caridina shrimps. If you are breeding boa shrimps or other shrimps with Taiwan Bee genetics, you will need to aim about 3 to 4 GH and pH below 6. Of course, all of the nitrogen you will try to keep as low as possible. If you are going for other types of Caridina shrimps like bee shrimps, you will need to go with a bit higher water parameters. For me, it's usually 5 to 6 GH and about 6 pH. And you need to remember that my KH in my each tank will be near to 0, because keeping it equal to 0 is almost impossible, even if you think that you got those 0 parameters in your tank. So Taiwan Bee gens, you will go 3 to 4 GH. The Bee gens, you will go for 5 to 6 GH. And you need to remember one more thing, because a lot of people will ask me about the TDS or the conductivity of my tanks. And this is not a very good factor to judge your shrimp tank parameters, because all of those parameters will vary depending on the other micro elements that you have in your tank, and depending on the age of your tank and type of salt you will use in your tank. So the better way is to aim the general hardness, not the TDS or conductivity. You can use TDS or the conductivity if you want to judge if your water for water change is prepared correctly. But remember to calibrate your TDS meter each month or every 2 months so that it won't show you the wrong results. Another very interesting question is about what type of Caridina shrimps should you start with. For me, after those many years with keeping shrimps, there is none difference on the type of the Caridina shrimp that you will start. If you will follow the rules, if you will try to keep your tank in good condition, you can start with every type of Caridina shrimps. I would try to avoid the complicated genes that shrimps can keep. For example, fancy tiger shrimps, because you can have a lot of culls and you can struggle a little bit with keeping your shrimp pack in good genetic condition. On the other side, if you want to start with something basic, with something very simple to keep, you can go with tangerine tigers, you can go with classic bee, red and black bee shrimps, or you can try to keep classic Taiwan Bee shrimps. They might be a little bit harder to keep, breed a little bit slower, but you should handle them. Let me repeat one important thing. Every time that you will follow the rules and you will try to keep your tank simple and easy, you shouldn't struggle with keeping alive your shrimps and breeding them in your tanks. The next question is about my recent video about purple metallic that popped off my King Kong pack. And yes, I will try to take some of the best colored shrimps to try to bring out those metallic genes and try to multiply them. But right now I'm still watching the pack and trying to estimate how the shrimps breed and how they develop their pattern and what genes they will put forward. Because there's a chance that in this type of mutation, in this type of tank, they can pop out with something new and very interesting. And yet another very interesting question is about the effect of the food on our shrimps. And yes, you can bring up some colors with special diet and you can mess up some colors with special diet. Especially there is this very popular pigmentation food that is axanthin. I hate saying this name. Axanthin can destroy your white color. It can bring up your red color, but if you feed your shrimps with a lot of axanthin, you can make the white go pinkish coloration. And this is very, very popular and very discussed problem among discus fish keepers, that if they are keeping albino discus, they will have a special diet so that their pigmentation won't go pinkish. On the other hand, there is a special product, Benibachi Max H, and this product can bring up the whites in your shrimps, and this is the only product that I know that can enhance the whites among your shrimps. So you can try that product, but it's quite expensive product. And this is the last topic, but this topic is very interesting. So if you got blue balls, they can change color. In matter of fact, each of your shrimp can change the color. They can change the color during the whole day, and they can change the color during the transportation due to the change in the water parameters. In my opinion, in my knowledge, it isn't true that the high-grade shrimps won't ever change color. The truth is that the shrimps will always change the color because they have the ability to pull off, to change the placement of pigmentation in their shell. And this is the natural way that shrimps try to hide before the predators. They try to survive in their natural habitat. So if you will put the shrimps in the middle of the night when the tank has no light, and afterwards you will put the light on, you will see your shrimps have very dark pigmentation, very strong pigmentation after you put on the light. If you will look at the same shrimps during the day, you will see the pigmentation might not be so strong. Of course, this will vary depending on the fact if we got a strong light, if we have a light light, if the shrimps have a lot of spots to hide in your tank. Another example of shrimps changing their colors is the time when the females are buried. When they are keeping the eggs underneath them, you will see their pigmentation is better and nicer. So I won't agree that the high-grade blue-balled shrimps will never change their colors. I hope, guys, that you like this type of video. Let me know that in the comment, and if you would like to learn more about shrimp keeping, you got the link to my Patreon page where I put articles about shrimp keeping, and maybe I will start to put some news from my keeping spot. And remember, keep on shrimping.